everyone. Well, welcome. I am the sit-in today for Julio. Unfortunately, due to last-minute circumstances, he's not able to join us. He will be back on for the next series, so keep an eye out for him. As you may or may not know, this is our Marketing Moments series. These are short webinars, approximately 30 minutes long. We have our expert here, Debbie Miller, who is the owner and CEO of 52 Weeks Marketing. She also owns the largest home care agency here in Nashville. So she has a lot of experience and we're excited to have her on today. This week, we are going to be talking about unleashing the power of a salesperson, but don't miss the other series that we have lined up. We also have one from last week that you can go and watch the recording for. The QR code is up at the top here, and I believe we have the link for the website where you can go and register coming. Oh, it's already there. Perfect. If you go to the chat, you can click on that link and register for the upcoming series there as well. They're all free and they're very educational in nature. That being said, today we are going to be talking about some really good stuff. Before I get into that, actually last week we spoke about the importance of differentiating your pipelines, not having all your eggs in one basket. I went through some really good stuff there. This week we're going to be talking about the importance of hiring a marketer. I personally deal with a lot of coaching and sales and work with a lot of marketers across the entire US of A. And we see the importance day in and day out in Debbie's office at her own home care agency as well, as that's how she's grown her agency. So we're going to be going into some good stuff today, the benefits of having these feet on the streets type of marketers. And we're going to be going over all those details with you today. With that being said, I'm going to hand it off to the expert here, Debbie Miller.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dylan. And that's Dylan Schwartz, who is the Director of Business Development here at 52 Weeks Marketing and happens to be my son-in-law. So I'm very proud and happy to be working with this wonderful fella who's married to my daughter as well. So so as Dylan said, we talked last week about the importance of diversifying your referral sources as well as your revenue streams. And so we talked about how if we don't have any relationships built in our community, we're missing a huge opportunity to grow our business. 80% of the revenue generated within the home care industry comes from these referral sources, those healthcare providers, and we'll look at those again in just a second. So I'm going to talk today about the power of hiring a salesperson. And as an owner of a home care business, I just want to reiterate that I am in the trenches, just like you all, running a home care business as well. And at that point where I had to make that decision about, is it time to hire a marketer? And, is at that moment where I was just starting to make some profit. And so it was a huge decision. So I would like to start by asking a poll question here, just to get a better idea of how many of you have a full-time dedicated salesperson, even if it's you as the owner or someone else in your organization that's truly dedicated to sales and marketing out in your community. So if you could answer that poll question, that would be great. And go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, we're at 8 people so far, 9 people. Okay. So majority of people on the call today don't have a marketer. There are a few of you out there, so happy to see that.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's
give it a couple seconds here. We're still getting answers trickling in. Okay. There are people joining the webinar as well. We're at 73% no and 27% yes.
Wow. Okay. All right, let's go to the next question, which, okay, fantastic. I am seeing the results. Okay, our next question here, we could put that up. Do you think having a full-time dedicated salesperson does or would help you grow your business? So I just want to see where you're at in terms of whether you think that your company would benefit from having a full-time dedicated person out there.
We're at 100% so far.
Say what? Yes. Say yes.
Everyone's saying yes.
Okay. All right. So the majority of you don't have a marketer. So let's look at why that is. So our next survey question, we could put that up. All right, so what's holding you back from hiring a dedicated salesperson? Is it that you don't see the value? That's obviously not the case. That you've had bad luck with a salesperson, maybe they didn't produce for you in the past. You don't think you can afford one, or you're not good at managing a salesperson. So let's see what you have to say about this.
Results are still coming in.
Okay.
Well, the good thing is no one said I don't see the value. So you got a good crowd here today. All right, I'm going to end the poll and share the results here.
Okay, so a lot of folks haven't had success. Most people feel like they can't afford it. And then 18% said I'm not good at managing. All right, interesting. All right, so I am going to start by, all right, and I think if we can advance the slides, here we go. That's awesome. All right, so definitely as we're going to address some of these concerns, and I'm going to share my experience within my own organization, the value that I saw from having a feet on the streets, developing relationships with those key referral sources within my community. And as a review from last week, we talked about how important it really is to have multiple referral pipelines. And too often, Dylan and I see a lot of people putting all their eggs in that pay-per-click or SEO or digital leads bucket. And unfortunately, they don't always convert as well as a warm referral, a pass off from a trusted healthcare provider. They tend to convert so much better. And so we've seen within my organization, we've seen, and I'm going to share some results that we've actually experienced. So we're really going to be focusing here on those community referrers and having somebody out there representing you, developing relationships with those referral sources. Okay, so I want to start by answering the question, should I hire a salesperson? I'm going to share with you what happened within my organization. And so for some of you that don't know my history, we started our business in very late 2008, when I actually got out into the field myself, and I was out marketing, pounding the pavement for the first 2 years of the business. All right, and so really starting in early 2009. And so I'm going to share with you my results here in just a second. So as you can see, we didn't do much in 2008. We just basically got our license and those kinds of things. So by 2010, I was just under $2 million. And so I realized that to grow to where I really wanted to be, we had to expand our reach. I could only do so much out in the field. So brought on our second marketer, and within another 2 years, added $2 million on. And as you can see, in 2013, added our third marketer, again, expanding our reach. And so within 10 years, we were able to achieve a $10.5 million in revenue. All right, so that's just to give you an idea of what a marketer can actually do if they're being effective, okay? And so, of course, the 52-week system is all about arming your marketer with a system that's going to help them be as effective as possible in developing relationships. But this is real data based on my organization and the impact that a marketer had in expanding our reach and increasing our revenue. And I want to just reiterate that referrals come from relationships, and relationships are built through ongoing touch points. So it's really important that when you have somebody out that they are seeing them on a regular basis, developing those relationships. It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes people think I'm going to hire a marketer and I'm going to have, my phone's going to be ringing off the hook the next day. It takes a minute. They've got to get out there. They've got to see these people, many touch points to develop that relationship. And then over time, through consistency, you're able to transition those relationships to partnerships. And with an agency at my age, and with the number of marketers that I have, we are now in a position where we have so many partnerships that we've developed where we are their on-site resource in many cases, where my social workers are in having the family meetings prior to discharge with their teams at, say, a rehab center. So those are the kinds of things that can happen if you have somebody out there developing those relationships. And I talked a lot about huge opportunities out there with a growing need for home-based service models, right? Even healthcare providers and big healthcare systems are looking for partners like us to help them implement home-based models, hospital to home, SNF at home, all of those kinds of things. So lots of opportunities for you to really grow your business, but it does take having somebody out there. And so when we look at some of the statistics, I love this. I think Dylan actually provided this to me about a year ago, and I use it all the time. But this shows you that sales actually happen after many contacts, okay? And the statistic here says 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So that's important to understand that, you know, again, that frequent touch points, those frequent face-to-face meetings with those important referral sources. As well, this is a really important point to make about your leads in general, whether they're digital leads or whatever. When you've got leads coming into the office, when you've got some referrals coming in, you've got to be following up with them on a regular basis, many touch points till you get and close that client. Okay, so it's important. In fact, I'm going to share some data with you again to reinforce why it's important to have those relationships with those referral sources in the community. Remember when I said last week that most of the care is typically initiated as a result of a crisis. All right, so if you're not interfacing with those people at their point of need, your competition will get that case and be able to help that family with the solution. So I wanted to share with you some, I'm comparing referrals that come in from our healthcare providers or our referral sources out in the community versus our digital leads, Google leads, those kinds of things, okay? So we took a snapshot of June this past year, June 2023, and what you see in the green are the referrals that were generated from my marketers. We had 67 referrals that came in. What you see in the blue are the digital leads, okay? So it might have been from our referral providers like a Place for Mom or a Google search, whatever it might have been, okay? So we kind of lumped them all together. We had 49 of those. But look at the conversion rates. And that's why I think it's so important that you have somebody out there, okay? Our conversion rate is 62% from referral to client. But when you compare it to the conversion rate from digital leads, it's only 18%. Now, I wasn't happy with this. We did a lot of work in getting on top and responding to those digital leads. We actually have that up to 30% now. But what I wanted to show you is if I was only counting on digital leads, that was 9 of those leads converted to clients. I mean, we converted those leads to 9 clients. Of the 67 referrals, we converted 51 new clients. So if we hadn't been able to have those other referrals, think about where the revenue, how the impact that would have on revenue. So this is what you want to be looking for. So these are the goals that we are always striving for. Our referral to assessment is 60% and our assessment to client are 80% conversions. And you want to get those digital leads to lead to assessment 30% and assessment to client 70%. All right, so those are some key KPIs that you'll want to be measuring and striving for, certainly, okay? So again, I just want you to compare the value of a warm referral versus a digital lead, okay? So it's important that we get intentional about community marketing, and that's what we're going to talk about. And so you think about it, it's a business-to-business marketing model. And for those of you that were on our first class, I talked about my pharmaceutical background, okay? So for 15 years, I was a director of big pharma. I had lots and lots of sales force out there, and our goal was to get that frequency. So you need to have a system that is striving to reach the right people, seeing them often enough. In most cases, they need to be seeing them weekly. and being consistently solving patient problems that you have solutions for, and then holding your salesperson accountable. All right. So having a dedicated person, having a system, and then finally having a very effective referral and lead management system. All right. So that you are making sure that you're following up on every call. And in my office, it's a 3-ring promise. If we have got to pick up that phone within 3 rings. On a digital leave, we need to be following up with that within 5 minutes. All right. So, and that's how we've been able to improve our conversion on those digital leads. So these are the key model and the components that you need to have as part of your model. So let's talk about hiring. Who do we hire? What has worked for me is hiring social workers. I love to hire social workers who have an ability to do some sales, but I really take an educational approach to this, which I'll talk about in a minute. What I love about social workers is that they have instant credibility with your referral sources. They can talk the talk. They're very focused on helping patients and helping families get the solutions that they need. They love to educate the community about resources, and that's pretty much what we're doing out there, right? In terms of marketing. So that has worked really effectively for me. Now, not every marketer is comfortable about asking for the check. All right, that's what the term I use. So if somebody has a little bit of sales experience or is been a waitress or that kind of background, that's always very helpful as well. Also, targeting case managers, therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists can be amazing, especially when it comes to doing assessments and things like that. And of course, nurses. So those are some folks that you might want to target when you're thinking about hiring. Also, some key things that you want to focus on here is, I say entice, motivate, and retain. All right. So enticing them, obviously, what we see that is working really well across the country is providing a base salary, and then adding on that a commission program. So what I do in my particular company is it's based on revenues that they're generating, that they specifically are generating in the community. But in order to get that added on compensation that gets added to their base salary, they have to be meeting their KPI goals and their activity goals. And so I'll talk about activity goals. My expectation is that they're seeing so many people and having effective calls with those folks that really move the needle, get the phone ringing, okay? And then retaining, you may want to consider providing a residual commission for as long as you have that client. So that can help you with retention. So I'll give you an idea of a situation here in my office. So my marketer, that #1 marketer that I hired all those years ago, she's been with me for 14 years. She's still with me. I have a marketer that's been with me for 10 years. Why is that the case? Because I have this residual commission. It's going to be very difficult for them to go somewhere else and make the kind of money that they're making. So as long as they're meeting their KPIs in terms of new clients that they're bringing in the door, also they're very invested in keeping the clients. So if we've got any issues, they're very, and as social workers, they're very good at ironing out any problems and helping resolve issues where, we have a dissatisfied client, for example. So they're very invested in making sure that we keep that client. So entice, motivate, and retain. Now, a lot of people say, well, how much base salary? Big question Dylan gets, I'm sure, a lot. Well, this is one of the things that I love about hiring a social worker. They tend to be lower on the pay scale. And here is the median annual wage for social workers was $55,000. In my particular case, because I have a very strong commission program, my social workers are in the 50 to 55 range. And even for, marketers that have been with me a long time, where they're making their money is on the commission. So as they perform, they get compensated. And so I'm paying for top performance. All right. So those are just some things to think about. By the way, if you have any questions on this, this is a great, opportunity to reach out to Dylan. He works with folks that are hiring. He actually will help folks hire. He's an amazing resource on this end. All right, so strategies for attracting salespeople. And so these are some ideas of some job ads or titles that you might want to consider, especially if you are going to hire a social worker. And as you can see, I really emphasize the educational aspects of the role. All right, and this is going to help you attract social workers because they want to make that positive impact on seniors' lives. And also they have an opportunity to really reach beyond the goals that they could probably ever reach within, say, an organization as a social worker. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to make money that they would normally never have. Okay. At the same time, though, you're speaking their love language, that their solutions, they're solving problems for families. As you can see, some of these things: senior care liaison, senior care advocate and educator, a senior home care outreach coordinator, elder care specialist, senior care solutions manager. So again, these are titles that will appeal because they don't necessarily think of themselves as salespeople, and nor do you want them to be necessarily. All right. So these are titles that they could actually see themselves doing. And then you will help them understand how everything that they do, if they were going to go out and market, say, their clinical social work specialty, they'd have to be marketing themselves. So this is just a different way of looking at sales and marketing. And I think it's worked very well for my team when we take this educational approach. So attributes that you're looking for: first and foremost, this person needs to be really likable. What do I mean by that? This is somebody that you'd want to go out for lunch with and spend time with. If you like this person, other people are going to like this person. Okay, so that's really, really important. Sometimes it gets, I don't know, it's not considered as important. Sometimes we don't follow our gut, and I think that over the years I've learned I've got to really like this person. And something else is when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. All right. If you get a little red flag or something nagging at your conscience, listen to your gut. Okay. So you obviously want somebody with a strong work ethic, a strong communicator, somebody who's motivated, right? That's really key when it comes to sales. A self-starter, somebody that can think out of the box, friendly, likable. We talk about problem solver, right? Because they're going to be helping your referral sources solve problems with their patients. That's what this is all about. And then somebody who is persuasive. And we've got a great white paper that helps you with some interviewing questions that can be really helpful. So you could drop your email in the chat line, and Dylan could follow up with that. If they've got experience in healthcare, that's fantastic. Contacts in the industry. Again, like I said, any experience in sales or hospitality, that tend to translate really well. Living in the area, being familiar with the area so that they can be efficient with their time as they manage your geography. And then, of course, passion for senior care, really important. All right, now, setting goals for your marketer. This is really important. And I can't emphasize this enough. Activity equals referrals. What do I mean by activity? Scheduling appointments, seeing people, even if they can't see people, dropping something off, having telephone calls, any touch point that they're able to do is going to be very, very important. And if you're doing those weekly touch points, you cannot fail. So you want to set activity goals. What are your expectations around face-to-face visits? Schedule those meetings. If you're going to get those face-to-face visits, you've got to really schedule them in advance. Doing presentations, telephone conversations, emails, and e-blasts. So they're just constantly following it. For those folks that work virtually, like say in home health, you've got those multidisciplinary team members, like your physical therapist, your occupational therapist, even the social workers at home health organizations. It's very difficult to catch them in the office. So you need to get those contact informations and create an email chain so that you're able to follow up with them, keeping in touch with what their patients' needs are and what you can do to help resolve those. And then, of course, you need to factor in some time for assessments if you've got your marketer doing assessments. My recommendation is that they only do assessments in the influence centers that they call on, or the referral sources that they call on, because you've got another marketing opportunity when you're doing that. Now, when I say points, part of what the 52-week system is setting, we've gamified our systems. So when I was in pharma, I started out as a sales rep and I allocated points. So a face-to-face meeting with a doctor, I gave myself 5 points. If I just did a drop-off, I was only worth 1 point. I would not allow myself to have my first coffee of the day until I achieved 10 points. So even if you're the owner, and I applied that when I was out there pounding the pavement for the first 2 years in my business, I would not allow myself to have that first coffee. That coffee actually looks really good, but I wouldn't allow myself to have that coffee until I had my 10 points, till I achieved 10 points. So those are the kinds of expectations you need to be setting for yourself if you're going to be the dedicated person out there, or for your marketer that you hire. Really important. Now, I get the question, should my marketer do assessments? As I said earlier, if you can narrow their focus to be doing assessments in the buildings that they're calling on, in what we call influence centers, that makes sense. Otherwise, you're going to really affect their consistency to see their targets on a weekly basis. All right. So, of course, if they're going into an influence center and calling on somebody, do assessment while they're there, or vice versa. That makes total sense. They've got that communication. They can follow right up with the social worker, explain what just happened with the assessment, and fine tune the discharge plan. So that makes a lot of sense. But again, if you have the infrastructure in place where you don't have to involve them in every single assessment so that they can stay on what we call their visit route, that is the best scenario. What you never ever want to do is have your marketer getting involved in operations. All right, scheduling, never a good idea. Putting out fires in the office, no, not a good idea. That's one thing I did really well when I was out there. I truly delineated my role versus my operations manager. All right, so that because every day, and we see this, Dylan sees this every single day with owners that we're working with, they get pulled in to put out the fires, and then marketing falls off the radar. And then next thing you know, your revenues are going down. So that's very, very important as you're thinking through this. The other thing that's important is scheduling your meetings with your team, with your marketer, all right, and holding them accountable. So if you've set activity goals, they should be submitting a summary of what they achieved that week by Friday, end of day. All right, so then when you meet with them on Monday, and I recommend that your marketers have an office day where they can follow up on any referrals, get back with their referral sources, give them an update on where things are at in terms of assessments and those kinds of things. Set up for a successful week, right? Schedule presentations, schedule meetings, those kinds of things. Work with your team to check in with how new starts are going and those kinds of things. So that's something that I recommend, but certainly as an owner, if you're hiring a marketer, you need to be meeting with them on a weekly basis. You need to be holding them accountable to those activity points and those other KPIs. Preparation's important. 10 minutes in preparation saves an hour in execution. So on Monday, they can take a look at everything they've got going on in the week, plan other meetings around, say, presentations that they have, so that they are making good use of their time in the field. All right, so do's and don'ts. Summarize everything. Things that you want to do. Create and communicate a clear plan of action for your marketer. Set clear expectations around activities and around KPIs. What are your expectations around the number of referrals a week? My expectation is a referral a day. Keeps what I say, Debbie away. All right, so that's a good goal. Meet regularly and hold your marketer accountable to the results. By the way, you want to include your team involved in referral management. So on that Monday meeting, anybody that's answering the phone, setting assessments, case management, should all be meeting and just closing all those loops and making sure that everything is well under control, clients are satisfied. This is an important one. Own your database of referrers. All right, we've got a CRM built into our system. This is very important. We've seen a lot of owners lose their marketer and they have no idea who the contacts are in the field. Terrible situation to be in. You need to own your referral sources, okay? Have them in, if you're using WellSky, if you're using Care Time, if you're using any kind of operational system that has a CRM, have your referrals in there somewhere. Very important. And then also get out and meet your referrers. Okay, that's important. They love to know the owner. They love to see that the owner's invested. And so I think that's bode really well for me. Everybody knows me in my community. The don'ts. Don't assume that your marketer knows who to target and how to best use their time. It has been very frustrating for us to see owners, be taken advantage of because a marketer, they hire a marketer, they're paying them, a crazy salary, which is coming out of your own pocket, right? So it kills our heart. And so you've got to know when it's time to cut bait. I mean, it's really, really, really important. They're not producing, move on. All right. And we can we can help you recognize that. So don't wait too long if it's not working out. Don't get what you don't take what you get. Get what you want. And the way you do that again is by setting those expectations. Okay. Don't lose touch with your referrers, as I said, and then don't assign your marketer to staffing and scheduling. All right. So best practices, I reviewed this, and I'm going to wrap it up right here. Having a dedicated marketer, database of referral sources. A lot of these, if you're kind of feeling overwhelmed by all of this and say, how am I ever going to get this all organized? That's something that we really help our clients with, the 52 weeks marketing system. It's what we're all about. And we can definitely help you with that. All right, well, that is a wrap for me. I'm going to turn it back over to Dylan, and he can give you our contact information and tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing in our next call.
All right, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed that today. I do want to address that the chat apparently was not working today. I'm not sure what was going on with that. We're trying to get that fixed for the next series. Apologize. Give me 1 second here. My computer's acting up. All right. So, Debbie, thank you very much today. That was very informative. Next week, we will also be providing some new information. Again, my information's on the screen here if you guys have any questions. And you can use the QR code to register for the upcoming series as well that Debbie was just showing there. That link is in the chat as well. I believe Casey sent that over. Next series is June 12th, and we're going to be talking about systematizing your marketing for accelerated growth. We want to get ahead of the competition. We want an action plan. We want a plan for success, and that is what we do at 52 weeks. That's how Debbie has grown her business as well, here in Nashville. So we'll be talking about a few things amongst others, and some of those things will be who to target in your community for referrals. So not just the types of influence centers, but also the individuals at those influence centers. We want to make sure we're targeting the right people that interface with seniors. How many people should you target? That's a good question. Most of the competition out there is going after one individual. Well, what happens when that person quits or gets fired? You don't want to start from scratch. And the benefits of building a database and refers, and how to create a B2B marketing system that works. Anyhow, if you want to schedule a meeting with me, here's my link. We'll go over all these questions. And again, I apologize for the group chat today, guys. You can always email me your questions and we'll get back to you quite quickly, okay? Thanks for joining us.
I think we have one more poll question here. So if you want more information about Care Time, Julio's team will follow up with you. Just put answer yes there. If you'd like more information about 52 weeks marketing, answer yes. We will follow up with you. If you say no, we will not bug you, but we are here to help. And, as I said in my first class, only 3% of home care owners have any sales and marketing background. So it's a challenge, and I understand that. I thank God that I had the experience that I had before I started my home care business. And so I created a system that worked for me. We were able to commercialize that and help lots of owners like you who maybe don't have experience get systematized. And, we basically just have to follow the bouncing ball. We're going to help make it easier for you because you're in this business to make a difference. And so you want to let as many people out there in your community know that you are there to help. You've got great solutions for seniors and their families. So we're happy to help.
Well, poll results are still coming in a bit here. Well, we went over a little over the time today. There's always so much good stuff to talk about. Thanks again, Debbie. Love getting you in front of other home care owners and marketers to share your knowledge. And we will see everyone on June 12th, hopefully.
Bye for now.
Take care, everyone.